Hey, what's up everybody? This is my review of Stinger Venom from the Spider-Man line of action figures. So I'm going to start off just going over what I like about the figure, I'll go over what I dislike, and then I'll go into a more detailed review showing you the sculpt on the figure, the paint, as well as the articulation. So starting off with what I really like about this figure, I really feel like I got a good value for what I spent on this figure. This figure cost me $12. This figure is a large figure. This figure, as far as height goes, is roughly 6 inches tall. And he's kind of hunched over now, and I'll get into that later. But the overall height and bulk on this figure is great. You really do get a lot of plastic for your money. And just to illustrate that point and do a little size comparison here, here is Iron Man 2 Iron Man. You know, he costs around $8. And you can see the size difference here, and you get much more of a figure for only a little bit more money. So, you know, $8, $12, this figure is good because you get a lot of value for your money. Another size comparison, this is a DC Universe Classics figure, and you can see also the size of Venom really compares well against this DC Universe Classics figure. And these Classics figures, these DC Universe Classics figures, are on average around $14 to $15. So because of that, I really think you get a good value for this figure. The other thing I like about this figure is the sculpting detail, which I'll show more in detail just a little bit later. But the sculpting detail is really good. I mean, the surface of the figure is not just smooth. You can actually see some of the veins and so forth on the skin. And of course, the head sculpt as well is very detailed. Again, I'll show you that a little later in the review up close. And then finally, the articulation is really nice, considering the fact that this is a $12 figure. I really expected this to be more like a kid's toy with more of a gimmick than articulation, but the articulation is really nice on this figure. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. The other thing, and finally what I like about this figure, is it kind of pays homage, if you will, to the storyline in the Venom series where Venom's, or Eddie Brock's symbiote merged with Scorpion. And this is kind of, I think, what they were going for, this idea of what if the Venom symbiote merged with the Scorpion supervillain, and this is kind of what you would get with the Scorpion tail. So I really like that fact that they brought that out in this particular figure. So on to my dislike. There's really only one dislike, and that falls into the category of getting this thing to stand. I'm not talking about posing, I'm talking about getting the thing to stand up straight or just to stand at all. It tends to be back heavy, I guess, or top heavy. I guess top heavy is the better word. Because you can see a lot of the bulk of the figure is concentrated on the upper body, the torso, the shoulders, the arms, the scorpion tail. And a lot of that, or all that weight, has to be carried by the legs. And so my question to you is, if you have this figure, do you have problems standing this figure up, or not even posing it, but just trying to get it to stand up? That's why he's kind of hunched over, is because this is the only position I can really get him to stand in. And I found that if you move the tail, the stinger over his shoulder, it kind of distributes the weight better and allows him to stand easier. But that's the one and only really gripe I have about this figure. And compared to all the good things about it, it's a rather small thing. So let's move on to the detailed review. This is up close and looking at the sculpting detail and the paint detail. Sculpting detail is fantastic, especially for a $12 figure, I would say. You can see there, it's got the evil red eyes and the long tongue, which is very nicely colored and so forth. Moving down to the torso, you can see sculpting detail, the ab section. And if you take a look at the arms, you can see all the veins and so forth. Moving down to the legs as well, more veins. And just, like I said, they didn't just make all this smooth and bland looking. They actually brought out a lot of detail in the different parts of this Venom figure. You can see the tail especially, you can see, look at all that spines, I guess, and just very nicely detailed as well. And as far as the paint goes, the one thing I wanted to mention about the paint, the paint is not just black, it's actually sort of a black and blue, so you almost get a purple effect. I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up, but you can see you might be able to see there's some blue going on there on the shoulders, here on the forearm. You've got some more blue on the inside of the thigh here. Let's see if I change the lighting here, if that brings it out more, maybe you can see it better. Go back up here where I was talking about the shoulder area with the blue. It runs also through the tail here as well. There's that color difference. So I find that kind of interesting. It's not just a black, it's more of a black, blue, almost going on to purple, which I think is true to the depiction in the comics. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a ball hinge joint. You can see the hinge right there. So really, he can look up, down, and all around. He's got ball hinge shoulders, really nice. He does not have a bicep joint, but he does have a single joint at the elbow, swivel, and a bend. I don't want to stress this, but you can see there's the joint right there. Look, it's kind of tight. I don't want to break it, but you can see there's a joint there for moving the hand or the wrist inwards a little bit. You've got ab articulation, which is really nice. You can see there. Very nice. And not only ab articulation, but you also got waist articulation. You got ball hinged hips, or the hips are on ball hinges. And you've got a nice double bend at the knees, and a hinge joint or a single joint at the ankles. So really nicely articulated. Like I said before, it's hard to stand, and I thought it was because of the the knee joints. I thought they were loose, but I think it may have more to do with the fact that the upper body is so top heavy that it really kind of makes the figure hard to stand. So, let's see what else. We went over articulation. Oh yes, I wanted to point out also, before I forget, which I did, is the actual stinger, the tail here. There are articulation points throughout this, and they're actually ball hinge joints. So they go around, and they can go like this on the hinge joint. You've got one here. Well, this one here is just a swivel joint, I think. But ball hinge joint there, ball hinge joint here, here, and here at the very tip. So, I mean, that's when I was talking about the articulation. They could have very easily just decided, well, we'll maybe put one joint here, and it won't be a ball hinge joint. It maybe just be a standard joint or something like that. But they put 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and just the the stinger alone, the tail. So that's really awesome. So now, if I can get this guy to stand up, I'll show you these characters back here next, or not these characters, but these figures back here next to Venom, just to kind of get an idea of the size. The figures back there, of course, are Marvel Legend figures. Are you going to stand? Are you going to stand? Maybe. Alright. So, we'll bring out Ghost Rider. I decided to pick Ghost Rider because I think he's a fairly standard average size for a Marvel Legend Toy Biz figure. You can see there. I'm not really sure how you guys think about the scale. I mean, I think Venom might be a little bit too small. I'm not sure. But just an idea. I won't pass judgment on the actual likeness to the actual scale in the comic book, but just kind of give you an idea of how they compare to the actual figures. Spider-Man, of course, you can't have a Venom review without a Spider-Man figure. As you can see there. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. Spider-Man, of course, is smaller than Venom in the comics and the cartoons, so this actually is a pretty good scale comparison there. And finally, Juggernaut. In one of the limited series of Venom, there was a Juggernaut appearance. So let me see if I can move this guy over here. And let's see. Juggernaut's kind of, he's got some joint issues too. But yeah, you can see, well, let me move this down so you can see his face. So there's Juggernaut. Of course, Marvel Legends Toy Biz, Juggernaut next to Venom. Not too bad. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about the size as far as how this guy fits into the rest of the Marvel universe, not Marvel universe, but Marvel figures, line of figures like the Marvel Legends Toy Biz, for example. All right, well, thanks for watching. This has been my review of Scorpion, Stinger, Venom from the Spider-Man line of action figures. Final verdict is I recommend you pick it up, especially if you like, Venom, or if you like Spider-Man. I think it's a definite buy. For $12, you get a lot of figure, and I recommend you pick it up. Thanks for watching.